However, this time I think we came up against a side like Brazil who had actually played better than us throughout the tournament, and who deserved to win it on the day too.
For Baresi, it was almost the end. The captain's armband was passed to Maldini. 2 years later, spirits were high in the Italian camp as Maldini led his country into Euro '96 in England. Reunited with his former mentor, Arrigo Sacchi, Paulo revelled in the captaincy. As relaxed and as accommodating as ever, he still remained focused on all things Italian.
Voglio chiederti una cosa, e se puoi rispondere in inglese? Perché...
No.
Assolutamente?
Assolutamente.
Anche se ti chiedo la domanda?
Sì, no.
Ma per la pubblicità la fai?
No.
Ok.
Despite the captain's typically spirited performances, the tournament ultimately ended in disappointment for the Italians. Another crucial missed penalty meant they failed to progress beyond even the group stage. Back on the home front, Milan too was struggling, and even Maldini himself didn't escape the wrath of the fans.
I think that the lion's share of the responsibility fell on the older players' shoulders. If you had to find a scapegoat, then we were the ones who were singled out, but we knew full well that the problems lay elsewhere.
There are a lot of changes made, mainly due to the Bosman law, and a lot of players joining for free, and a lot of foreign players joining too. So this changed the philosophy of the club a little bit. There was the passing of the old guard of players, and the arrival of new players who needed to take on board the club philosophy.
For Maldini, respite from Milan's woes came in the shape of his third World Cup, and France '98 was a family affair.
I was a little bit worried about it. However, we came to an agreement that I would talk normally to the players as a group. I never talked one-on-one with individual players. I think maybe Paulo had more problems with the situation than I did. Instead of calling me boss, he'd call me dad and things like that. But there was never an issue. When you have to play, you go on and play. Paulo was just one of 11 players.
But the gods of the game were once again smiling elsewhere. In a manner all too familiar, the Azzurri were left to wonder what might have been.
I don't think we were as strong as the sides in '94 and '90, but even then, if it wasn't for that defeat against France, we would have been up against Croatia in the semi-finals, and the door to the final would have been wide open.
As the new millennium arrived, history was made. Paulo made his 113th international appearance and became at the time Italy's most capped player. But opportunities for international glory were few and far between, and in the final of Euro 2000, another slipped away. Once again, France were the victors, this time courtesy of David Trezeguet's golden goal.
I think maybe that team was a little weaker than before. We'd given everything we could give. We had to accept the result, even if it wasn't the right one.
Sadly for Maldini, such a result remained forever elusive. In 2002, the World Cup in Japan and Korea proved to be his international swan song, and not a happy one, as once again Italy was struck by the curse of the golden goal against the hosts, South Korea.
That was horrible. A horrible exit. A ridiculous game. It was just a really bad memory there. In part because of the atmosphere out there in the Far East. It was totally different to what we were used to from the football fans, in the way they supported teams and so on. And then there were the problems with the referee. Just a really bad memory of that World Cup.
Immediately following the tournament, after 14 years, 126 caps and 7 goals, Maldini announced his retirement from international football. It was undoubtedly a record-breaking career, but it was also one ultimately tinged with regret.
It was a great disappointment for him. Paulo never achieved what he should have done with the national team, even if he did get to a final.
In all the World Cups I played in, Italy have always been one of the main contenders. But there is such a small difference between winning and losing.
At international level, I think Paulo has been one of the all-time greats. Not just in Europe either. He's known all over the world for his ability, his bravery, and the way he handles himself.
Italy's loss was Milan's gain. The captain returned to his club, determined to lead them back to European glory. Defeats in 1993 and 95 had not been forgotten, and the Champions League final of 2003 brought together two of Italy's biggest clubs.
It had been a long time since we were one of the big hitters in the Champions League, so we immediately realised the importance of the occasion.
The final went to penalties.
When Paulo lifted the European Cup, just incredible. It's something exceptional for both of us to have lifted the European Cup, and then both of us doing it in England too. Incredible. One of us in Manchester and the other myself at Wembley. Just incredible. These are emotions that the good Lord gives us only occasionally, that go beyond football.
They are the moments when I think that Milan is the best club in the world. When there's something to win, and I know that we've lost on occasions, but when the opportunity to win is there, we generally take it.
One such opportunity not taken by Milan came 2 years later against Liverpool in Istanbul. Paulo's 7th European Cup final saw him make his mark early in one of the most astonishing finals ever.
My first memory is my goal, which I got after only 40-odd seconds, which is something personal to me, and then the fact that we played such a superb game. If it was decided on points, then we'd have won easily. But I'm afraid fate wasn't with us that day.
The second half saw Liverpool stage an incredible comeback. From 3-0 to 3-3 in 6 remarkable minutes.
Apart from that short period in the second half, when they scored 3 goals, Milan were much the better team, physically and tactically. And I have to say that the way the game finished left a really bitter taste in the mouth. But as a team, we couldn't say anything, as we played the near-perfect game.
2 years later, in Athens, Milan were out for revenge.
Destiny can give you some bitter surprises, as well as some good ones. We had everything to lose against Liverpool, as they'd already beaten us once. If they'd beaten us again, then they really would have killed us off. But we drew on all our strength to beat them.
A 2-1 win brought Paulo his 5th European Cup.
That's the difference between normal players and world-class players. Paulo Maldini managed to win the Champions League at nearly 39 years old, because he is an incredible athlete and an exemplary professional.
When Maldini finally retired in 2009, Milan retired his number 3 shirt, a fitting testament not only to one of the most successful players of all time, but also to the longevity of his career at one of the world's greatest clubs.
He flies the flag for his club like very few captains can.
So for all the players who come here, even Ronaldinho, one of the last big names to sign, they all want to see Maldini. Because when you think of Milan, you think of Maldini.
It's a fact that Paulo has never once thought of moving to another team. Never.
It's part of my life. I started playing here when I was 10, and I'm still here at 40. Most of my life has been spent here at Milan. Apart from that, there's also my father's history here that binds me even more to the club. So it's definitely a huge part of my life.